Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're not just opening a book, we're really stepping into a dialogue, a pretty profound one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Exploring the deeply personal journey and philosophy of Lóng Tíng. You probably know him, CEO of Lóng Tíng Enterprises, author, mentor.
A real cultural ambassador,
So
absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
Known for building these vital bridges, between East and West, tradition and modernity. And our mission today is to take a deep dive into the why. Why did he write his big trilogy, Global Leadership Insights 2030, GLI 2030?
Right.
He frames it himself as a response to ignorance, a call for bridges. And it's clear this isn't just another leadership guide. He calls it an invitation to a living space for vision, practice, and inner transformation.
Exactly. And what's really distinctive about his approach, and something we really want to emphasize for you, is how he positions himself.
Yeah.
He's not like standing up there lecturing. He steps alongside you, like a companion on this journey we're all on, really. And he's urging you to wrestle with this really fundamental question, one that feels more urgent all the time in our, well, fragmented world. What does it mean to lead? Across cultures, across borders, across all those fragile lines of our time. It's a question that it really cuts right to the core of things today.
And he brings that question immediately into sharp focus. He starts with something, an observation that I think a lot of us can unfortunately relate to kind of viscerally. He talks about encountering words meant to cut, not to connect.
Yeah.
And for him, this isn't abstract. It's not theory. It's a lived, often painful reality that really shaped his whole life's work, didn't it?
Absolutely. And the striking thing here, the real insight, is how those personal encounters with, divisive language, the sting of those words, either make him withdraw or get defensive or even hit back. Instead, those experiences became this powerful, almost you could say spiritual catalyst. They pushed him toward developing this deeply transformative approach to leadership, to global understanding. So today, our aim is really to unravel that profound why behind his work, and to show you how these insights aren't just for him, but how they can guide your own responses to the divides you face every single day.
Okay, so let's start with the person himself. Who is the architect of these bridges? Lóng Tíng introduces himself with this, simplicity that kind of hides the complexity, doesn't it?
It does.
He's the founder and CEO of Lóng Tíng Enterprises, of course. But it's his unique position, his way of being in the world, that really defines his perspective. He says he moves fluidly between Europe and Asia, moving between cultures, between languages, between worlds. You can almost feel the dynamism of that life, can't you, just from that description?
That phrase, between worlds, it's so much more than just geography, isn't it? It's about his identity. It describes this interstitial existence, a place of constant negotiation, constant synthesis, and, empathy. This between space, it just inherently shapes how he sees things. It gives him this unique ability to see the connections, the seams, where maybe others only see divides.
Right, like fault lines versus connection points.
Exactly. It's this multi-layered experience that makes his bridge-building philosophy feel so authentic, so powerful. He doesn't just theorize about cultural exchange. He lives it. He embodies it every day. He's right there at the nexus of these worlds. That's his laboratory, his personal experience.
And from that really unique vantage point, he takes on all these different roles, author, mentor, cultural ambassador, and each one seems deeply woven into that main mission, connecting people, ideas, traditions. But his identity goes deeper into very personal areas. He openly shares that he is, quote, as a gay man, as someone deeply connected to Asia, as someone who has worked in both system engineering and the arts, it's such a rich, vibrant mix of identities he brings to the table.
It truly is. And this convergence, this mix of diverse identities and experiences, it gives him an incredibly nuanced, really potent lens on leadership.
Yeah.
Just think about the insights you'd gain navigating different cultural norms as a gay man, right?
Yeah.
Or holding these deep roots in Asian thought while operating, extensively in European business settings. And then you layer on the logic, the rigor of system engineering that trains you to see the big picture, the interconnections, find the bottlenecks, optimize the whole system.
Right, the analytical side.
Exactly. And you blend that with the creative, intuitive insights from the arcs. These aren't just separate parts of them, they work together. It's synergistic. You get the engineer's precision combined with the artist's empathy and imagination. It lets him not just diagnose these incredibly complex problems, but also design really innovative, human-centered solutions for global leadership.
That makes sense.
And all of this whole multi-layered identity, it fosters this exceptional empathy, adaptability, and a really profound grasp of the multifaceted human experience, qualities that are absolutely critical for genuine global leadership today, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And from this incredible synthesis of life, of identities, he distills this foundational truth, a principle that anchors everything he talks about. Leadership is not about control, it is about presence. Wow. That feels, well, it feels pretty radical compared to a lot of the usual leadership talk we hear, doesn't it?
It absolutely challenges the dominant paradigms. Most conventional leadership training, it focuses so heavily on command structures, on KPIs, dictating strategy, steering teams, which are all essentially forms of control, right? But Ting argues that in our world, fractured, diverse, changing so fast, control is becoming a relic. It often just leads to alienation, resistance, maybe superficial compliance, but not real collaboration.
Okay.
So the profound insight here is that true influence, especially across these deep divides, it doesn't come from imposing control. It comes from a deep, non-imposing presence.
Presence. What does that mean, practically?
It means being profoundly attuned, listening beyond the words, sensing the fears underneath, understanding the unspoken motives, meeting people exactly where they are. And it's not passive. It's an intensely active kind of empathy and observation. It can disarm conflict before it even escalates. It builds real trust where control would just breed resentment.
Like trying to force a river versus understanding its flow and building a bridge that works with it.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this truth, it's born directly from his life, his diverse, often difficult life. It underpins his entire philosophy.
So if leadership is about presence, and this philosophy comes from such a rich personal place, then the Global Leadership Insights 2030 trilogy. Well, it must be quite different from your typical business book. How does that personal foundation translate into the books themselves?
Precisely. He really emphasizes he didn't write GLI 2030 just to add another management book to the pile. The shelves are full.
Right.
His goal was much more ambitious, to build what he calls a living space. And this isn't static. It's not just theories on a page. It's an active, dynamic environment for growth. And it's designed around three critical components, all woven together to foster really comprehensive, sustainable leadership development.
Okay, a living space. For what specifically? Can you unpack those three elements for us?
Certainly. First, he says it's a space for vision. This part is about shaping how we see, how we understand the huge, complex tapestry of global challenges. It's about moving beyond just the surface stuff to grasp the deeper currents, the hidden dynamics.
Okay, seeing the bigger picture.
Yes, and cultivating a mindset that sees connections, anticipates shifts, and spots opportunities for collaboration even when things look messy. This vision isn't just strategy. It's about seeing the world differently with more clarity, foresight, and, crucially, empathy.
So, shifting our fundamental perspective. Got it. What's the next layer in this living space?
The second component is for practice. This is where that elevated vision gets translated into actual actionable methods. It provides concrete tools, specific rituals, small steps that you, the listener, can apply in your daily life, in your leadership role.
Like a leadership lab.
Exactly like a lab. For instance, it might guide you through, say, a conscious communication ritual, designed to help you pause before you react to some loaded comment, and instead try to understand the intention behind it. Or maybe a daily empathy exercise where you actively try to see a tough situation from multiple cultural viewpoints. This practice element bridges that gap between just understanding something intellectually and actually doing it, making it an ingrained habit.
Okay, vision, practice, and the third component. This one feels perhaps the most, well, unique for a leadership series, with its focus on inner work.
That would be for inner transformation. And this guides a deeper personal journey that, in Ting's view, isn't just helpful, it's essential. It has to come first. It has to inform any external change.
Why essential?
Because it acknowledges that real, sustainable, authentic leadership, especially in these complex global situations, isn't just about what you do. It's profoundly about who you are becoming. It's about cultivating this inner state of resilience, wisdom, real self-awareness that lets you engage mindfully even when the world outside is chaotic.
So things like emotional regulation, ethical clarity.
Exactly, and finding that deep wellspring of inner peace, it's foundational.
That is a truly integrated approach. Vision, practice, inner transformation. It sounds less like a toolkit and more like a whole path of, well, personal and professional evolution.
That's a good way to put it.
But, for leaders often working in very pragmatic, results-focused environments, how challenging is it to embrace something that encompassing? I mean, is this really scalable? Or is it more of an ideal that's tough to implement with the relentless pace of global business?
That's a vital question, a really practical one.
Mm.
And Ting would argue it's precisely because of that relentless pace, because
Yeah.
of the complexity and the fractures in our world, that this holistic approach becomes not just ideal, but essential.
Interesting. What?
Because without it, leaders risk burnout. They risk making superficial decisions, or maybe even making divides worse through reactive responses instead of reflective ones. He believes ignoring that inner transformation makes outer leadership ultimately unsustainable. And it raises a really important question for you, the listener. Can you truly lead others globally, especially across diverse cultures and difficult divides, without first undergoing a significant inner transformation yourself? It really challenges us to redefine what it means to be prepared for leadership in the future, doesn't it?
This holistic, presence-driven approach to leadership, born from such deep personal conviction, it becomes even more resonant, I think, when we really delve into Long Ting's personal story. He talks very candidly about the painful catalyst for his work. Words meant to cut, not to connect. And he's clear this wasn't just a one-off thing. It was a recurring theme in his life. He says explicitly, "It wasn't the first time, and I know it won't be the last."
That recurring nature is absolutely key. It shows this consistent pattern of encountering really negative, divisive language. And he mentions hearing these dismissive, distrustful, divisive words from a surprisingly wide range of sources.
Like who?
Well, he mentions so-called woke voices within the LGBT movement, for example, which highlights that even within movement pushing for progress, division can still pop up.
Right. Internal conflicts.
Exactly. She also talks about anti-China opponents and anti-Asia critics who reduce an entire continent to a single, often negative narrative. And then he broadens it even more to voices across the board who seem to believe suspicion is sharper than dialogue.
Wow. That's quite a spectrum.
It is. And Ting's really profound observation is that underneath all that cutting language, no matter the ideology behind it, there's one fundamental emotion driving it: fear, dressed up as certainty.
Fear dressed up as certainty. That's powerful.
It's like peeling back layers of some complex global issue and finding that the core ingredient is often just human insecurity projecting itself outward.
That is such a relatable insight. That feeling of a cheap comparison or a slur thrown into sting. I think many of us, sadly, know that sting, whether it's at work or in our personal lives. It feels like a universal experience, being on the receiving end of language meant to diminish you.
And this experience, this verbal incision, it wasn't new to him. It has deep roots. Lóng Tíng tells this story, a moment that really shows the profound, almost annihilating power of words, a memory of his own father.
Oh.
His father told him, quote, that I no longer existed for the family, that we were living in the wrong time, otherwise I would not have been a problem at all. Imagine hearing that from your parent.
Oh my gosh, that's incredibly harsh. Devastating to be told you no longer exist for your family. The weight of that is just, yeah, almost impossible to imagine.
It is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really highlights the devastating power of familial rejection, especially potent in cultures where family and collective identity are so central. Lóng Tíng explains its lasting psychological impact, saying, it carved a scar. Not just because of the pain in that moment, but because it taught me how language can erase, how silence can exile.
Language can erase, silence can exile.
Wow.
That experience profoundly shaped his understanding of communication, not just its potential for harm, but also the flip side, its potential for healing, for affirmation, for connection. Overcoming a wound that deep meant he had to build his own sense of self, completely independent of external validation.
Which makes his subsequent growth and resilience all the more remarkable, doesn't it? He says, my ego, yes, like armor as shield, I no longer care what people think or say about me. I stand above it because I had to walk through too much. That suggests an incredible journey, some such deep vulnerability to a truly hardened, unshakable sense of self. It certainly does. This transformation is a powerful testament to human resilience. Profound pain, when it's not just endured but actively processed, integrated, it really can forge an unshakable sense of self. It creates this core strength that lets you rise above superficial criticism and just maintain your authentic presence. It's like a self-protection that evolved beyond simple defense into this deeper self-possession. An inner fortress, not built on denial, but on profound self-acceptance forged in fire.
And if that wasn't enough, he shares an even more challenging moment, one that truly tested the absolute limits of his spirit, arguably the deepest loss anyone can face. Losing my son 10 hours after his birth, that loss almost brought me to nothing. To endure that, and then not only keep going, but actively dedicate yourself to building, to connecting, to fostering understanding, it's just astounding.
It's an unparalleled depth of grief, isn't it? A tragedy that would understandably shatter most people's will to even engage with the world. And the fact that he emerged from that abyss able to say, and yet here I am, breathing, standing, speaking, it just underscores this incredible, almost transcendent inner strength, an unwavering sense of purpose.
Yeah.
It speaks to a profound belief in the value of life, of connection, even when faced with the most excruciating loss imaginable. And it raises another important question for you, the listener. How do leaders, especially those called to bridge deep divides, find their voice, find their purpose after experiencing such profound personal loss? It suggests that true leadership isn't about avoiding pain. It's about integrating it into a deeper, more empathetic understanding of the universal human condition, transforming personal suffering into a source of wisdom and compassion.
That's beautifully put, powerfully put. And this whole section really highlights this paradox, doesn't it? Immense strength born from immense vulnerability. He doesn't lash out at the words that cut. He chooses to pause and breathe. It's a powerful testament to the cultivated stillness within him, this intentional pause, this deep processing of pain and insult. It leads us directly to Lóng Tíng's really remarkable reframing of negative experiences. He says, an insult is not only a wound, it is also a mirror. That perspective shifts everything, doesn't it? It moves us away from just reacting defensively.
It does, profoundly. Instead of just internalizing the insult as only about you, this mirror idea forces a broader, more systemic look. Ting explains what this mirror shows, not about the person being insulted, but about us, collectively, about our world. It shows where we are still fragile as a world. It reflects fear of the unfamiliar, cynicism pretending to be clever, and ignorance wrapped in easy certainty. If you connect this to the bigger picture, it encourages this vital shift from personal affront, which usually leads to defensiveness or attack, to systemic diagnosis.
Right. It teaches us to use these moments of individual friction, of pain, as invaluable data points for understanding deeper societal weaknesses. It highlights exactly where our collective humanity needs more work, more compassion, more bridges. It turns personal discomfort into an opportunity for collective learning.
And crucially, in those very cracks, those fragile places, the mirror reveals that's where he says the true essential work of leadership lies. It's not about avoiding those tough spots, but engaging with them directly, seeing them as the very ground where progress has to be built.
Exactly. And this leads to his vision for leadership that is, well, quite deliberately counterintuitive, especially compared to many traditional Western models. He proposes principles that challenge the very idea of what strong leadership looks like.
Like what? For instance, he states that leadership is not to stand taller, but to bend lower. This emphasizes deep humility, radical empathy, and the crucial act of meeting people exactly where they are. Really listening, truly understanding their context, their concerns, instead of demanding they rise to your level or adopt your view. It's about connection from a place of service, not dominance, being accessible.
So humility, meeting people where they are, and instead of getting into the typical shouting match we see so often in public discourse, he suggests something different for conflict.
Yes, he advises not to shout back, but to listen deeper. This focuses on the transformative power of real dialogue, of profound understanding, rather than just reacting or escalating. It's about trying to comprehend the underlying concerns, even when they're expressed through anger or prejudice or what feels like an attack.
It takes discipline.
It demands a level of emotional discipline and curiosity that goes beyond surface arguments. And finally, he advocates not to mirror prejudice, but to choose presence. This is a powerful call for intentional, mindful engagement that consciously breaks those reactive cycles of negativity and prejudice. It's about deliberately bringing your authentic self, unburdened by others' biases, into every interaction, offering a different path forward. What's truly fascinating here is how these principles directly contradict typical ideas of strength and leadership, right? Which often equate strength with dominance or being assertive or being the loudest voice.
Right.
Instead, Lóng Tíng argues for a more profound internal power, one that comes from self-awareness, compassion, and this unwavering commitment to genuine connection.
Those are beautifully articulated ideals, but they need to work in the real world, the often messy world. Does he give any examples of how these counterintuitive principles actually play out, how they lead to tangible results, build actual bridges?
He does. And these anecdotes are absolutely crucial. They serve as proof of concept, showing that bridges are possible, even across mistrust. He shares a story about a friend from Singapore, a relationship that started with, well, significant distance. He says, at first, he didn't understand me, didn't know what to make of who I was. And yet, slowly, trust grew. This just exemplifies the power of sustained presence, of patience, in building relationships across cultural gaps. It wasn't instant connection based on shared background. It developed through persistent, authentic engagement, allowing time for understanding to blossom. It's a testament to that slow, steady work of just being present.
And he mentioned another instance of connection, maybe even more profound, that speaks to the deeper impact.
Yes, he describes another meeting, a moment he calls a soul encounter, even acknowledging the other person might not label it that way. He says, maybe he doesn't see it that way, but for me, it was real.
Subjective but powerful.
Exactly. It highlights that subjective but incredibly powerful experience of genuine connection that can transcend superficial differences or initial misunderstandings. It's a reminder that even if the other person doesn't consciously analyze or articulate the depth of it, the impact of that profound connection is still felt, it's still registered. It contributes to the overall fabric of understanding. It's the kind of connection that touches something much deeper than just a transactional interaction.
These experiences really drive home the real-world application of his philosophy, don't they? Showing you, the listener, that even small, consistent shifts in your own approach, choosing presence over control, deep listening over shouting back, can lead to profound connection and bridge building in your own life and work. It's not about grand gestures, but about consistent, intentional presence. So these deep personal experiences, these scars and strengths, as we've been discussing, that truly form the ground from which the GLI 2030 trilogy was born. It really is a personal response, isn't it? And not just one book, but three woven together to create this living space.
He deliberately calls them a weave, emphasizing how interconnected they are. Each book contributes this unique, essential thread to the larger fabric. The first one, Global Leadership Insights 2030, he describes as the vision, a mirror, and a manifesto.
Okay.
Its core focus is on that fundamental, urgent question we talked about. How do we communicate, connect, and lead across cultures in a fractured time? This book lays the foundation, the philosophical framework. It offers you a clear lens to see the global landscape and your place in it more clearly. It's about recalibrating your mental models, really.
So that's the theoretical groundwork, the what and the why, providing a new framework. What comes next in the weave?
The second book, the Global Leadership Study Companion, is The Practice. This is where the vision gets translated into daily application, turning abstract ideas into tangible actions. It's designed as this highly interactive lab for leadership, offering reflections, rituals, and small steps that bring vision into daily life.
Can you give an example of a ritual?
Sure. He might guide you through, say, a specific reframing ritual, where instead of just reacting to a critical email or a dismissive comment, you consciously pause. You identify the underlying fear or uncertainty that might have prompted it. So you transform it from a personal attack into a valuable data point about the emotional climate.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe a daily presence practice to cultivate mindful listening in every interaction, turning even routine meetings into chances for real connection and information gathering. This companion is all about building that muscle memory for bridge building, integrating these insights until they become intuitive.
Okay, vision, practice. And the third book, Breath of the Dragon, 36 Communes for Inner Transformation. That seems very different. Kian suggests something profound, maybe even mystical.
It does. This book is The Silence. It delves into poetry, paradox, the inner journey no strategy can replace. Its core focus is on addressing those deepest, often unspoken aspects of leadership development. It draws on centuries of East Asian thought, much like traditional Zen cans, those short paradoxical riddles or stories used to prompt meditation and challenge normal thinking.
Right, to jolt you out of usual patterns.
Exactly. This book cultivates introspection, wisdom, a profound inner calm. It helps you access a deeper wellspring of insight and resilience that no external strategy can give you. It's about finding clarity in ambiguity, peace in chaos, strength in stillness. And it raises another important question for you. How crucial is this silence, this deep inner work, this grappling with paradox to effective global leadership, especially when the external world is so noisy, demanding, often contradictory? It really challenges us to rethink what preparation for leadership even means.
So taken together, they're not just separate books. They're an interconnected system for holistic growth, addressing the mind, the actions, and the spirit of a leader, a really comprehensive framework.
Absolutely. And Lóng Tíng is very clear about what these books are not. He says emphatically, these three are not shields against insult. They were not about hiding from the world's harshness, building walls around yourself, or adopting some defensive crouch. That's a crucial distinction.
Okay, so if they're not shields, not about defense, what are they?
Instead, he powerfully calls them invitations. Invitations to profound personal and collective transformation. They are invitations to turn ignorance into awareness, invitations to transform contempt into courage, and, most crucially, invitations to shift division into dialogue.
Invitations.
Yeah.
That's a very different energy than defense. It's incredibly potent. It's not about building walls around yourself for protection. It's about consciously opening pathways outward and inward, using every challenge as a chance for growth and connection. It means engaging with the very source of friction, but in a way that seeks to transmute it, to change its nature.
That really underscores the proactive, the transformative nature of this whole approach. It's not reacting defensively, but engaging actively, constructively. And for you, the listener, it really invites you to think about how you might use a framework like this in your own life, to respond to those challenging situations, not by shielding yourself, but by finding ways to turn that negativity into positive action, deeper understanding, and genuine connection. Lóng Tíng really doubles down on this perspective when it comes to recurring negative comments, those cheap comparisons, the slurs. He says, this is not the end of conversation, it is the beginning. He sees every one of those interactions not as a dead end or a setback, but as an opportunity, a crucial signal. Exactly. He explains that these comments are a signal that fear still lingers in the air, that prejudice is still alive, that our work is still unfinished. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reframes every negative interaction, every bit of ignorance or contempt, as a chance to understand the current global climate more deeply.
So they're not just personal attacks to dismiss.
No.
Yeah.
They're vital feedback mechanisms. They show us exactly where the need for bridge building is most urgent, where empathy is lacking, where our collective human development is still lagging. It's a call to action, really, not a reason to give up.
He also touches on some maybe unspoken expectations he runs into about leadership communication. He notes there's often this assumption, maybe even demand, that leadership must sound like Oxford English, perfectly polished, grammatically flawless. Like there's this prescribed monolithic uniform for how a global leader must sound, erasing any trace of their unique journey.
And he directly counters this with his own powerful stance. He asserts, my voice carries the worlds I've walked, and that is worth just as much.
This is incredibly significant, isn't it? It champions authenticity, diverse perspectives, over some singular, often Eurocentric standard of communication, especially in the corporate world or leadership circles.
Yeah, it really does.
He's making the point that the richness of his very background, with all its cultural, linguistic influences, the subtle rhythms of someone who lives between worlds, that adds immense value. It doesn't detract.
Yeah.
It's a powerful statement about embracing your unique identity, your authentic voice, as a core strength in global engagement, not trying to conform to some perceived ideal. It challenges the very notion of professionalism in a global context.
And he has this compelling anecdote that perfectly illustrates this, about identity and challenging those preconceptions when he meets people in Asia. It sounds almost, well, magical in how it works. Indeed, he describes what he calls the magic of bridges. He recounts that when he introduces himself, people expect Lóng Tíng, and they see a white man with a white beard carrying a Chinese name.
Right, that juxtaposition.
That juxtaposition, that unexpected dissonance, it creates this immediate pause, a little shock. But instead of being a barrier, he observes that the dialogue opens by itself. What's really striking here is how a simple name, set against an unexpected appearance, can actually catalyze genuine connection.
How so?
That initial surprise, it forces a moment of reevaluation in the other person's mind. It immediately breaks down their preconceived notions and opens the door for genuine curiosity, a desire to understand. And that leads to a deeper, more authentic dialogue. It's this organic form of bridge building, just sparked by the presence of someone who defies easy labels. His very being becomes the bridge in that moment.
It's a brilliant, almost accidental way to create a bridge where others might just see a disconnect. And it perfectly sums up the ultimate purpose of his books, which he states so simply, so profoundly: not to fight, not to defend, but to build.
That phrase truly captures his entire philosophy, his mission. And he expands on the critical, maybe even existential need for these bridges in our current global landscape, which feels more volatile, more fragmented all the time. He argues, our future does not need more clever put-downs across divides.
We've had enough of those.
Haven't we? They've only deepened the chasms. Instead, it needs bridges where others build walls. It needs trust carried across suspicion. It needs respect carried across fracture. And these aren't just nice ideas. He emphasizes they are practical, urgent necessities for our collective survival.
And he frames this with real urgency, saying, this is not luxury, this is survival. That really raises the stakes, doesn't it? Beyond just personal well-being, into the fate of global society.
It absolutely does. He adds very starkly, if leaders cannot learn to bridge, then borders harden into cages. It's a powerful, unsettling metaphor. It implies that without active, intentional bridge building, the divisions between us become oppressive, isolating, ultimately suffocating, trapping humanity in these cycles of conflict and misunderstanding.
Borders harden into cages.
It raises an incredibly important question for you, the listener. What are the immediate and the long-term consequences if we as individuals, as a global society, fail to prioritize this kind of leadership, this courageous act of bridge building? What happens if we just let divisions deepen and harden? The implications go way beyond economics or politics. They touch the very quality of human existence.
That drives the message home with incredible force, showing you the profound importance of these principles, not just for your own well-being or career, but for the very future of global society itself. Hashtag tag outro. So, as we bring our deep dive into Lóng Tíng's motivations toward a close, he turns that profound question directly back to you, the listener. Makes it intensely personal. He asks, when ignorance speaks, how do you respond? It's a moment of essential self-reflection for all of us, isn't it?
And he lays out the choices we all make, implicitly or explicitly, in those moments. With silence, with attack, or with presence. And then he shares his own definitive choice, one forged in the fire of his life experiences. I have chosen presence. My books are my answer. And he clarifies, his work isn't about having all the solutions neatly tied up. It's about the deeply held belief that the questions themselves matter. It's an invitation to inquire, to reflect, not a delivery of dogma.
And that ties beautifully back to the us in GLI 2030, reminding you that, as he puts it, we are connected with your future. And that every instance of contempt, every divisive word, only makes this essential reminder and the urgent work of connection all the more critical.
Exactly. And in his closing thoughts, Lóng Tíng reveals another deeper layer of his personal resilience, offering this glimpse into the profound strength beneath his calm exterior. He says, and no matter what happens, none of these voices will silence me. They will not push me back. I am here, and I stand here. It's this unyielding stance, not born of aggression, but of deep self-possession, unshakable inner conviction.
He talks about how people sometimes misunderstand him, perceive him as just inherently calm, kind, always avoiding conflict. And he admits, quite genuinely, and it's true, I prefer peace. But then he adds this crucial clarification, one that reveals the source of his remarkable presence.
He clarifies with a gentle but firm tone, but don't mistake that for weakness. This is where his true inner strength comes out. He explains his deliberate process. I notice everything. I stay silent because I know if I let my anger out, it could wound more than it heals. So I hold it. I keep my calm.
It's not an absence of feeling.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's an intentional act of profound self-regulation, of care not just for himself, but for the potential, often destructive impact on others. It's a strategic stillness, a conscious choice to transmute potential negativity.
So it's a conscious, almost disciplined choice, strategic stillness. But what happens if that stillness is pushed too far, if those boundaries are fundamentally crossed?
He shares the powerful contrast. Yet, like everyone, I have a limit. And when that limit is crossed, it isn't a whisper, it isn't a small reaction, it is a storm. Now, this isn't meant as a threat. It's a profound act of self-awareness. A recognition that even the most peaceful, composed people have boundaries that, when violated, can unleash immense power. This, he explains, is precisely why respect matters, because underneath the calm, there's this deep, unyielding force that demands it.
And in that, he encapsulates the beautiful paradox of his being, a powerful message for all of us. Behind my calm smile is strength. Behind my quiet presence is resilience. It's not a warning, but a potent reminder to all of us that even in stillness, there's power.
A profound thought for you to carry forward, isn't it? It challenges the conventional understanding of strength of influence. advocating for this deeper, more rooted power that comes from within. It's like a quiet revolution in leadership.
And with that, Lóng Tíng shares his mantra directly with you. A simple, yet incredibly powerful call to action for how we can all navigate our increasingly interconnected, sometimes fractured world. I see you, I feel you, I hear you. Be human.
It reinforces that universal, foundational call for empathy, for genuine connection, for recognizing and affirming the shared humanity in all of us, even especially across the deepest divides.
And that you, the listener, is where we'll leave you today. Take a moment to reflect on Lóng Tíng's insights, on the profound power of presence, the quiet strength born from vulnerability, and the urgent, vital work of building bridges in a world that often seems intent on building walls. Until next time, stay present, stay human, stay connected.